Hey guys, Kev here, and I have a pretty cool knife to show you. So this is the Neeve Knife Co. Misdemeanor. And this is a design by Jared over at Neeve's Knives. Definitely go check out his channel if you have not already heard of Jared, which I'm sure most of you have. Definitely check it out. This was sent to me by way of Ray over at Everyday City Carry. So check him out as well. But this is Jared's first folding knife design. I believe he had a fixed blade that came out last year. And this is OEM'd by Riot, which is awesome. We all know Riot does really good work. And I've been hearing their time frames have substantially dropped. And we're talking 4 or 5 months now for production runs from Riot, which is really, really nice to hear and makes me want to work with them. And Jared is already doing that, which is awesome. You have a really nice sheep's foot design on this. It is obviously a very unique, possibly polarizing blade shape. Not everybody's going to be into a blade shape like this. Now, it is a blade shape that is mostly up my alley. I'm a big sheep's foot fan. You guys know that. I'm a big hollow grind fan. I'm pretty sure this is hollow grind. I can feel an indent here. I'm not the biggest fan of knives that have these kind of inward swoops and stuff. Usually they end up being clip points though, in my experience. But this is actually a sheep's foot, so I don't know. I really like it. I like it a whole lot. I'm not sure how I feel about this little area right here personally, but everything else about it is so nice that I think that's just kind of, you know, it is what it is, you know. The knife is extremely well done, extremely well made by Riot. You can tell Jared put a lot of thought into this. He kind of sat down. I could venture to guess he sat down and thought about the things that he really enjoys in a knife. And so you get that sheep's foot blade, so you get really good utility cutting. You have the hollow grind and the stupidly thin blade stock. He said this one's about 0.95, but production's going to be about 0.9 blade stock thickness, which is really good. I mean, a lot of the blade stock that we use is like 0.11 a lot of times, especially if you're going to put a hollow grind on it. But he's going for ultra thin because if you guys follow Jared, you know he's a big fan of sharpness, sharpening knives, having a sharp edge, not just having a sharp edge, but having really good edge geometry. A lot of that can be attained by having thin stock, and then you add a hollow grind and a really nice profile, and you're gonna have a really, really good slicer. Now, I did cut a little bit with this. I cut some cardboard. I obviously cut some paper to test it out. When it got to me, it was a little bit, you could tell it had been used quite a bit. So I stropped it. I used my little magic wand ceramic piece here, and I just hit it on both sides for, it was like 3 or 4 swipes on each side, passes, whatever you want to call it, and then went to the green compound on here for maybe 8 passes on each side, just to kind of bring the edge back, and it did a great job. I mean, we all know that I'm not an expert sharpener, stropper, any of that. And I was able to get it nice and sharp again. Now, it doesn't cut paper like an absolute laser beam now, but it cuts cardboard like that. This knife could basically have no edge on it, and I think it would destroy cardboard. Because of how thin it is, because of the geometry, because of the hollow grind, it's just gonna just devour cardboard. When I got the knife, I had the idea for the video to, you know, slice a bunch of cardboard with it, get that in the video here, because I thought that would be prudent for considering whose design it is. I just have not had the time to do that, and I don't really need to do that to prove anything. I just wanted to do it because I thought it'd be cool to put in the video, if that makes sense. So that's not going to be in here, but you can rest assured it's thin, slicey as hell, and it'll be an excellent EDC knife if you pick one up. So there's that. We have a front flipper and we have a slot for deployment. So we have those two. We do have a frame lock design. So as a lefty, my initial reaction to the knife was, yeah, I mean, I like the design a lot. I like a good front flipper whole combo, right? But shit, I'm left-handed and it's a frame lock, so I'm not going to be able to reverse flick it, which is going to kill it for me, right? Well, I was very pleasantly surprised when I got it that I can fire at will on this thing. I think maybe if I climb all the way up here, yeah. Oh, even then I was able to break it. But you can kind of lock it up if you go high enough. But for me, the test that I always refer to when I have a knife like this in is the pick up and flick test, where I just pick it up. Where's my thumb land? Can I fire it? And the answer to this one is yes. Now, this is going to be case by case. I can almost guarantee you that when these release, some of them will not work right-handed or left-handed. Some of them will have a stronger detent probably, and it'll make it harder to flick left-handed, you know. Having that slightly thinner stock, there's, you know, factors here that could go into that. But it does seem like the frame lock is long enough. You get enough, like the way your hand lands on it, you're far enough away from the top of the frame lock that you're not really putting all that much pressure down. So I think if you're a lefty, I think it's a safe option. I do kind of hope that maybe they get some lefties made. I know Riot will do small numbers of lefties, so it's possible we see lefty options, but I don't know if Jared has spoken on that or anything. I didn't get a chance to ask him. But it does work really well left-handed. I mean, the front flipper is great. Even without a clip over here, I can just grab the side of the scale and I can pop it no problem. I can reverse flick it no problem. I could probably do a rollback. Yeah, I mean, you can reach around it. So I think as a lefty, it's pretty much as good as it's going to get on a frame lock. You know what I mean? You just can't reverse the clip. And for me, that's fine because I carry right-handed knives every day in my sort of side hip pocket on my off-the-grid pants. So I wanted to put that out there for the lefties. I think it's still a solid option. He did give me some specs, so let me give you those real quick. The blade steel on here is K390. We're looking at 63 HRC on the steel. Now, that is for the, what he's calling a, where is it? He calls it, he had a name for the satin finish, a deep satin. So I don't know exactly what a deep satin is. Maybe he means a deep hollow ground belt satin. That would be my guess. Everybody loves beautiful grind lines on a belt satin, especially from Riot. So I'm thinking that's what he means there about the deep satin. Those will be 63 HRC. The ones that are coated, they are DLC finish, true DLC. And they'll probably be 62, 61 at the worst. But from my experience working with OEMs, for the most part, you lose 1 point on the HRC scale with a coating. So instead of 63, it's going to be 62. It's still going to be fantastic. So I wouldn't worry about that. There is one change. He said the clip will be extended to be smoother in and out of pocket. Now, I carried this actually for most of a week. I think I've had it, and it's been in my pocket every day, so I could get a really good feel for it for this video. And the clip to me is excellent. So I have no need for an update on the clip, but if they're gonna make it a little longer, it doesn't change anything. Honestly, it might make it better for lefties because I'm damn near close to getting on the clip when I flick it, right? I'm up here, and then I kind of push down and rest on the top end of the clip when I flick. So if they make the clip longer, it's possible that as a lefty, you'll actually be able to rest right on it and flick it. Now, some of you might already be able to do that, depending on how your hand size is and how you grip the knife and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention that clip thing. And then he says the handle finish is a coral finish. And I really like this. It's unique. It kind of has that, what do people call this? It's like a hammered finish, you know, where somebody takes a little hammer and kind of just knocks these little pits in there. So it looks great. I like the pop of color on this version. Yeah. So we could talk about the action on here. I think it's really good. Now, I do have the benefit of having that left hand thing where I'm actually putting pressure on the lock bar. So it actually makes the detent feel stronger on the reverse flick. So it's really snappy when I fire it out. If I go onto the clip, it can feel a little bit softer. It's still fine, but it definitely feels softer. I don't think the detent is too soft because the front flipper is like perfect the way it is. So if you go any stronger on the hole or the detent in general, I think what's going to happen is that top flipper is going to become difficult to use. And, you know, that's just kind of the case with a top flipper and a hole combo knife. We all know this. So, you know, you have to give and take a little bit. I think the reverse flick is just fine. The thumb flick is difficult. I can't get enough leverage to flick it. But this isn't really a design where I'm going to try to thumb flick it anyway. So that's not an issue for me. I would always reverse flick this, and it is excellent. Could the detent be stronger for the reverse flick? Sure, right? But I don't think it needs to be. And I think the top flipper is perfect. So there's really no reason to mess with it. And again, I don't know if they're all identical. I can tell you from my experience that Riot is extremely consistent. They are one of the best companies when it comes to consistency on a detent. That is why I've always loved Riot and thought they were probably the best OEM. The only reason I haven't used them personally is those long-ass production times. I just didn't want to wait 2 years for a knife to come out. But now that that's changing, I'm definitely going to be looking into it. So, yeah, I think the detent's good. The action is very satisfying. You get a nice drop. It doesn't guillotine, but this is how I like a knife. I don't want it to drop and then slice my thumb off. You notice my thumb is disgusting from that. So I prefer it like this, where I can disengage it. It doesn't even hit me. I get out of the way, give it a couple shakes, and it's down. Left-handed, you know, easy to close as well. The detent, I haven't even looked at this, is right about here. So it's not an early detent. You know, an early detent would be like here, maybe here. This is down here. It's not super late either. And I am so glad that there is no ramp on here. At least as far as I can tell, there's no ramp. And if there is one, it's very subtle. And detent ramps are overused when unnecessary in so many cases. And this is one of those. There's no reason for a detent ramp, so I'm very glad there isn't one. Why do I say that? Because look, I can disengage this. It clears the detent. It didn't even hit my nail, what reason do I need a detent ramp on here? I don't need one. The only reason you need one is if it gets caught on the detent, or for some other reasons, like you have a flipper tab and it's going to hit your thumb before it clears the detent, so you want to give it that ramp so that it's a little easier to just shake past or whatever. I personally hate detent ramps, and so I think this is great the way it is. Again, that front flipper, you can roll back with this motion. You get good jimping on here, and I could only imagine on a deep satin that it would be even more aggressive, which was good in this case. So you just roll it back, keeping your fingers off the lock bar. That's what I'm kind of screwing up sometimes. And it'll roll back. You can easily grab it up here and give it the old reach around, and then you have a beautiful top flip. You clear everything. You're not hitting any part of the frame or anything. It's very well done in design and execution. I really like the fidget on this knife. It's very good, but you get solid frame lockup. I have not spine whacked this and really don't want to because it's not my knife. It's a prototype. And it's not really something I give a shit about. Plus, that's Jared's job. So he'll take care of it if there is any little structural stuff like that. That's why you get prototypes. Looks like we have an internal stop pin, which I always love. It's looking like 5mm 1/16 bearings is my guess. So should be able to be swapped with skiffs, no problem. Dead nut center. The tip is absolutely buried in this thing, and I love it. I love a buried tip. It looks sexy closed. It's got the internal relief cut that just looks really good. Very, very nice in that sense. It's got a really nice ring. I don't know if it comes through for you guys, but it does ting. Depends on how you're holding it. If you're like holding the backspacer, it doesn't come through as much, because I'm pretty sure you get the acoustic from the combination of thin hollow ground blade and then backspacer, because if you kind of click on it, I don't know if it'll come through. It's not. But if you kind of click on it, or was it the clip in this case? You get the same kind of ring off of it. Might have been the clip. So if you're holding the clip, then it doesn't really ring. But if I don't hold the clip or hold the end of the clip, it rings a lot more. So left-handed, it tends to ring every time because I'm not touching the clip. Nobody really knows where those sounds come from, but I'm pretty sure it's a combination of backspacer or clip and hollow grind. Kind of makes the backspacer or clip act as a tuning fork, you know. He said these are going to be around $300, and I think that's a really good price. I mean, you're getting a steel that I think is unusual on a production knife like this. We have seen it before, K390, but it's Jared is pretty adamant it's one of his favorite steels, if not his favorite steel. But I'm assuming it's not the cheapest steel to get for an OEM project. And you have titanium, you have anodizing, you have a cool milling pattern on it, hollow ground, really thin blade. Takes some I would think it takes some more, what would you call it, skilled machining to do some of this stuff versus just throwing together a knife. So I think the cost of this knife, while not crazy expensive on their end, I think is definitely in the range where you would mostly see guys be selling this for $325, $350. Some dudes would be selling this thing for $400. So around $300, that sounds really good to me. Maybe he can really get people excited and go $299 because you know $299 sounds so much better than $300. But yeah, it's a really sweet knife, guys. I did want to give you the specs, the size. I think he gave me that as well. So it is 8.1 inches overall, 3.6 inch blade length, and internal stop pin. Oh yeah, T10 pivot and T10 hardware. So that was something Jared was particular about, wanting to have the T10. I like T8 or T10. Both are perfectly fine. You know, obviously you don't want T6s if it can be avoided. So that's great. Internally mounted clip is very cool. It carries extremely well. I didn't talk about ergos yet. It's very comfortable in the hand. It's a little big for my taste. So this is the Misdemeanor. He's probably said this, but if he makes a mini version, I'm sure it would be called the minor misdemeanor. Is that what they call it? When you get isn't there like a minor and a major misdemeanor? I don't know. Anyway, I think a minor misdemeanor or a mini misdemeanor would be cool. There's got to be some play on words there that you can do. You have a nice choil up here. You have jimping, very good jimping. Yeah, you get a little poon spoon here. And yeah, it's a little bigger than I like. I would love to see a 3.1 inch version. 3.25 might be a little too close. So a 3 inch and a 3.5, you know what I mean? So if he does do a mini, it'd probably be around 3 inches, but that would work for me, I think, a little better. You can see how much handle is sticking out. I just don't need this much blade day to day, you know? But it doesn't feel huge either. It feels like a normal size knife. So it definitely has that going for it, considering the size of blade you get, which is nice. Again, the ergos are nice. I do have one nitpick on the knife. So I will be honest with you, and I told Jared this. I tried to find something on here I could rip him for, mostly just because I thought it would be funny, not because I'm actually trying to, you know, rip Jared. Jared's a friend, and that's mostly why, just as a ribbing type thing. But there's not really anything to poke fun at. I mean, he usually gets me on the plunge grinds, but obviously he's not going to mess that up, and I wouldn't know if he did anyway. Yeah, the only nitpick I had was the backspacer here. So if you look at it, it's geared, right? And it sticks up out of the frame a little bit, which I actually think looks really cool. You see how those gears kind of stick up, and then the bottoms of or in between the gears, you have the pieces that are flush with the frame. Really, really cool. And you see how it terminates at the end here. I feel like it terminates really well at the end. But on this side, it kind of sticks up and out where it terminates, and it kind of just has this spot that catches you. And it's actually kind of sharp. Not in the sense that it would actually hurt you or anything like that, but I don't know. That was the one thing. Yeah, I know, not very much, but I feel like even on this side, they could both just be rounded down to kind of meet the frame, like either round them, or what I think would make the most sense is if it ended on a flat, right? So where you have the gear and then you have a indented portion, or whatever you want to call it, the bottom part that's flush with the frame. So if this just went 1/2 further, then it would be flush with the scale where it ends. And you could do that on both ends, or just tweak the gearing a little bit so that it ends on that middle section on both sides. And I think that would be a little bit more comfortable in the hand like this. Just a little detail that I think would be cool. Not anything that really matters. And I mean, that tells you how well thought out this design was. He spent time dialing in all the details, and I'm really happy for him. So he said these are in production. They've been in production for a few weeks, and they will be ready in about 4 months, I think he said. And this will be a drop. There will not be a pre-order, which is awesome. So if you are interested in this knife, it will be a drop. Around $300 in K390, both coated and non-coated. And if you get one, I think you're really going to like it. So really, the only thing I could tell you as a reason not to get this knife is if, one, you just don't want to spend $300 on a knife. Totally get it. Two, you're one of those people who just hates Chinese-made knives. Get it. Totally get it. Or three, you just don't like the design, right? Because it is going to be, I would think, a personal preference thing when it comes to really any design. But something like this is a bit more unique than some others. So those are the only reasons I can give you. I can't give you any structural, design, or really any other reasons to not get this knife. It is excellent. So there you go. That's my review on the Misdemeanor prototype here. Really glad I got to spend some time with it. I'm gonna miss it. I really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait till there's a mini version of this. So hopefully it does really well. Hope you guys pick him up so that he decides to do a mini, because I would be all over mini misdemeanor, minor misdemeanor, whatever it's called. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I will link Jared's channel. I'll link his website, Neeve Knife Co. He's also a dealer, so if you want to pick up other knives, he has them there, and you guys can check those out. One other cool detail I forgot to mention is the lock bar access. You can see it has this cool texture on it. I like the texture on there. I do think it would be cool if the texture matched the scale, but it works really well. It catches your finger really well. It's got just a small cutout, but it's the perfect size for your thumb to get in there. Again, really well thought out. So shout out to Jared. Thank you, dude. Appreciate you sending it my way. And wishing you the best with it. And let me know what you guys think down below. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.